You are successful on paper. You have the title, the track record, the results. You've been the most capable person in the room for years, and the people around you know it. And you're quietly exhausted. And not burned out in a way you can explain at a doctor's appointment. You're exhausted in a way that lives underneath your performance, in the gap between what you produce every day and what actually belongs to you at the end of it. You've probably Googled how to start a consulting business at least one time, if not more. Maybe you started a document. Maybe you bought a domain. Maybe you've had the idea so clearly in your mind that you can name the problem, the buyer, the outcome, and then you closed the laptop and went back to work. And there's nothing wrong with that, but if this is really something that you want, I know that it's probably because you're thinking that the timing wasn't right, because you needed one more year of experience, maybe because you weren't sure how to do it without risking everything you've already built. I get it, and I want to talk about that gap, and not the version of the story where you quit your job and bet everything on an idea. I want to talk about the version where you are still employed, you're still performing, and you are already building something that belongs to you, where your expertise has a price tag attached that you set, where the next reorg, the next layoff email, the next Sunday anxiety about Monday matters less because you have somewhere to go, where you leave corporate on your own terms when you decide to leave, and you leave with something waiting for you on the other side. That is what's possible, and that is what we build. My name is Felicia Davis, and I spent 23 years in corporate HR, the last chapter as a senior HR executive. Respected, results-driven. I was a person people called before the hard conversations. I was the one they called before the restructuring moments where, organizations needed someone who could hold the room. I was good at it. And I was paying a price that didn't show up on any performance review. I was self-editing in rooms where my full voice would have absolutely changed the game. And I was over-functioning for organizations that had benefited from my expertise without ever even stopping to ask what it cost me. Then my body made the decision, my mouth wouldn't. I had 2 stress-induced strokes. I had to learn how to walk, talk, and pick up the pen again. That season didn't break me. It clarified something I had been circling for years. The expertise I had built, the thing I had been giving away inside organizations for 23 years, was worth far more than my salary suggested. And the reason I hadn't built something with it, it was not a lack of skill or readiness. It was that I didn't have a framework for doing it without burning everything down, without sacrificing and risking everything that I'd already done. Voice sovereignty wasn't a brand idea. It was a practice I rebuilt my life with. And fractional freedom is a program I wish had existed when I was sitting exactly where you are. Here's what most advice about going from corporate to consultant gets wrong. It's built for people who have already left. The frameworks assume you have time to build. The courses assume you have a runway of savings. The coaches assume your only obstacle is strategy. But you're still in your career. You have a full-time job, a full-time life, and a nervous system that has been trained over years to manage the consequences of being too much or being too direct, or dare I say being too expensive. So when you sit down to write the outreach message, you brace. When you go to name the price, you buffer. When you do get the meeting, you over-explain. And this is not a strategy problem. This is what happens when you try to build a consulting identity from a nervous system that learned to stay small in order to stay safe. And no business course addresses that. because the most business courses don't understand that the gap between a high-performing corporate woman and her first consulting client is not knowledge. It's the voice that keeps disappearing at the exact moment it needs to show up. I've watched this change. I've watched this change so intimately. I watched a woman come into a session with an outreach message that she had been sitting on for 11 days. Drafted, unsent, reopened, and closed again for 11 days. And leave with something clean, specific, and ready to send. She sent it that evening. She had a conversation within 48 hours. I watched a woman unmute herself in a room full of strangers, read her message out loud before I even asked for volunteers, and nail it. 5 lines. No apology up front, no exit ramp at the end. I watched a woman who had been giving her HR expertise away inside organizations for over 2 decades. And for the first time, she said it out loud, what she would actually charge, and she meant it. I watched the woman, I have also watched the moment a woman stops waiting to feel ready and she actually decides. The program is new, the results are not. And I bring more than 23 years of corporate experience to every single session, and not as a credential on a bio, but as a lived understanding of exactly what it costs to perform strength inside an organization that benefits from your expertise without asking what it takes out of you. I've been where you are for more than 2 decades, and I know the road intimately. Fractional Freedom is a 16-week private mentoring program built specifically for women with corporate expertise who are ready to make their expertise portable. It's not a course. It's not a group program. It's not content that you'll watch and just file away. It's private. It's one-on-one. And it's built entirely around your offer, your buyer, and your timeline. And so here's how the 16 weeks work. This is how the 16 weeks are structured. The first 2 weeks, we establish your foundation. Now, this is your freedom goal, the specific version of leverage you're building towards. Your consulting lane, the expensive problem you've been solving that the market will pay for, and a compliance-safe boundary statement so you can build ethically without risking what you've already built. Now, weeks 3 through 5, we build your positioning and your offer, your ideal buyer, specific enough to write a message to, your pilot-friendly flagship offer, your paid diagnostic, which is the fastest path to your first consulting dollar, and 2 to 3 proof stories translated from your corporate track record, not resume bullets, but consulting proof. Now, weeks 6 through 10, we build your assets and your outreach. This is your right 25 to 50 target list, 3 clean outreach scripts, your follow rhythm, and then you send. We refine in real time, and week 10 is a dedicated implementation and feedback session where we audit what's landing before you move into the close phase. Weeks 11 through 16, this is where we build your pipeline and your close. Discovery calls, proposals, pilots, and the next 90-day runway plan so the momentum doesn't stop at week 16. You leave with something real, a position offer, a proof narrative, a pipeline in motion, and a voice that can hold the room in a consulting conversation, not because you performed it, but because you built it. And throughout all 16 weeks, I am with you. Not a team, not a portal, it's me. Fractional freedom is for you if you have corporate expertise worth translating, whether you're still employed or maybe you recently transitioned, or you may even be a coach who wants to move into corporate advisory work. You know what you will consult on. You can name the problem, the buyer, and the outcome. And you're done giving away your expertise for free. And I have to say this, you're not looking for permission to start. You're looking for a structure that makes starting possible without burning everything down first. And you're ready to invest in time and focus and financially. Now, on the flip side, fractional freedom is not for you if you have no corporate expertise or no background to draw from. This program is built on translating existing expertise and not building it from scratch. If you're looking for a shortcut, I have to tell you, there isn't one. There's a framework and there is work that you must do. If you want someone to hand you a script to borrow, we build your voice here. Not a borrowed one, not one from me, not one from someone else, your voice. And you're not willing to send the message, book the call, or have the conversation. You got to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about this, because everything we build together requires you to move. It requires you to act. It requires you to get in motion. Now, I'm also including something I've never offered publicly before. Elevate the Sovereign Collective is my upcoming executive membership, and Fractional Freedom founding clients are the first women inside. The first 12 weeks of your enrollment include what I call the Sovereign Sessions. These are 7 guided sessions covering the internal recalibration that makes everything else sustainable. We're talking about stabilization, truth, voice, presence, alignment, integration, sovereign integration. This is a nervous system work that most business programs skip entirely. And founding Fractional Freedom clients get first access before Elevate the Sovereign Collective opens to the public. Now, that's not a bonus I'm just throwing in. That's a founding seat at a table that doesn't exist yet for anyone else. It's valued at $2,000 and it's yours included. Fractional Freedom is $3,500 paid in full or $895 across 4 payments. I work with anywhere from 3 to 5 private clients at a time. And I just want to tell you that that number is not a marketing device. It is an actual capacity that allows me to be fully present with every woman I work with. When the spot is open, it's genuinely open. And when it's full, the wait is real. Now, you have 2 ways to move forward from here. If you're not yet ready for a 16-week private commitment, because I know some of you just may not be ready for that, I want to invite you to start with the Fractional Freedom Fast Track. It's 3 private podcast episodes, 3 companion worksheets, your consulting lane, your clean message, and your first move in 1 weekend. It's $97 and the link is below. But if you are ready for the full bill, the next step is a fit conversation. It's not a sales call. It's 2 people figuring out honestly whether this is the right move for you at that stage. And if it is, I promise I'll tell you that directly and we'll talk about how to get started. And if it isn't, I promise I'll tell you that too. And I'll point you towards something that might serve you better in this moment. Either way, you leave with the clarity and more clarity than you arrive with, which is often the most important step anyway, getting the clarity. And I just want to say one more thing before I ask you to take that next step. The women who build consulting leverage are not more talented than the women who stall. They are not braver. They're not more ready, right? They simply made a decision. They made a decision on a Tuesday without an audience, without certainty. They decided that the expertise they had built, the thing they had been giving away for years, was worth building something with. And that decision is available to you right now. Not after 1 more year, not after the next performance review, or like me, after the next bonus, not after you feel ready. Now. And so if that's landing, the links are below, and I'll see you there.